Join us as we take a look around the American cemetery here in Normandy, where the brave American men and women of the armed forces lost their lives in the Normandy campaign. Hi guys, welcome back. We're at the American cemetery. And once we've been here, we're going to go over to the Overlord Museum. So just come with us, take a look, and see what we see.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Emma, this is Trev.
Hi.
And if you haven't seen our other Normandy D-Day series, there is one where we've been to Utah Beach, we went to St. Mary-Glise and the German cemetery. So check that out.
Please check that out.
Appear on the screen now. We're not sure how we're going to film this, so we'll try our best.
Again, being respectful.
Yes. This is something we've always wanted to see. I've seen it before many years ago. But for Trev, this is the first time.
First time I'm going to see it. That's not actually in a film.
No. Established by Congress in 1923, the American Battle Monument Commission commemorates the service, achievements and sacrifices of US Armed Forces where they have served overseas since 1917. The Commission's military cemeteries and memorials around the world honour America's servicemen and women, living and dead, and fulfil the promise that time will not dim the glory of their deeds. The Normandy American Cemetery at Omaha Beach exists to ensure that future generations remember and commemorate the sacrifice of those who fought and died in D-Day and in the Normandy campaign. Near this site, thousands of Americans lost their lives whilst conducting one of the largest and most complex military invasions in history. These beaches witnessed actions by Allied troops that made the liberation of Europe possible. Here is where they are remembered. These men came here to storm these beaches for one purpose only: not to gain anything for ourselves, not to fulfill any ambition that America had for conquest, but just to preserve freedom, systems of self-government in the world. As you can see, these are the name of the landing beaches. So Gold and Sword, Juno, Omaha Beach, which is where we are now, and then Utah in the corner, and there we go. You can't imagine what that would have looked like, can you? There's pictures and photos and show you in film reels, but you really can't imagine the noise, the smells, the sounds, everything.
It appears today, as it always has, a landscape of tranquility. But in June 1944, on this narrow coastline, the future of freedom and democracy was at stake. The outcome would depend on the confidence, courage, and sacrifice of thousands of embattled men struggling to seize it. Gene Sellers was a star in his high school football and basketball teams and received a scholarship from the University of Arkansas. Before the end of his first year, he left to enlist in the Army. Gene was 21 years old in June 1944. By that spring, the world had been at war for nearly 5 years. Millions had already died. But on that gray, somber morning, along a narrow front line 120 kilometers long, hundreds of thousands of frightened men would face each other between two worlds, freedom and oppression, locked together in conflict. In the early hours of 6 June, as a pathfinder guiding the invasion forces, Gene Sellers leapt into brutal combat. Norval Carter was 32 years of age, a captain in a profession that usually employed younger men. He'd been a small-town family doctor from West Virginia. As a battalion surgeon, he did not have to be at direct fire, but he chose to be there on the front lines to help the wounded. 11 days after landing at Omaha Beach, Norval would find himself in the surrounding hedgerows near a small Norman town called St. Louis. Second Lieutenant Walter Garrett from Ceres, California, patrolled the skies over the Normandy battlefield, flying cover for the advancing Allied army, protecting the infantry and armored columns from Hitler's panzer threatened them. Walter loved to fly. He was most comfortable in the cockpit of his aircraft. He was a born flyer. Walter's P-38, flying low over the small village of Le Corbeil, on 15 June 1944, was hit by intense anti-aircraft fire. Walter was 24. Walter's father wrote of his son, "Spiritually, we feel that he is as close to us, buried in France, as if he was buried here. We are consoled to some extent in knowing he is buried in soil he flew over and helped to win back." Captain Carter also died doing what he cared about most, saving lives. By a small forest near St. Louis, he ventured out from the safety of a foxhole to save a wounded GI. In doing so, he was shot and killed by a German sniper. The soldier he saved lived and eventually returned home. Gene Sellers was one of the first Americans killed on D-Day. He died at a small crossroads near the village of Saint-Cloud-du-Monde while trying to land and set up beacons for the 101st Airborne paratroopers. He never managed to get out of his parachute. Today, it's hard to imagine what happened here. It's hard to imagine that this is the final resting place of more than 9,000 young lives. Lives that ended in battles that raged on this beautiful countryside. They can't imagine the horrors of World War in Europe. But they can. They remember their days as young men in uniform, who in absolute excitement and fear prepared themselves for battle. And they most certainly remember those who stayed behind after they passed by to complete their lives. In the late summer afternoon, they now perhaps do not recollect so clearly, or perhaps they never did realize that for a minute in time, the fate of the free world, the entire free world, once rested on their very shoulders.
Robert Robison, Nasi G. Joseph, William A. Piatt, Roy L. Whiteman, Thomas A. Galloway, Richard W. Smith, Philip E. Tash,
Hey guys, we've just done the cemetery. I would say if you want to have a really, really good look round, give yourself between 2 to 4 hours. It is over 172 acres.
It's massive, isn't it?
It's huge. We've only literally touched the tip of the iceberg. I found it very overwhelming emotionally. It's really good.
It makes you think, doesn't it? It really does strike. I can't describe the crosses.
Yeah, they just go on for as far as you can see.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably seen it in films, on documentaries, but seeing it with your actual eye, it really, really hits home. And there's a point where you just come out of the visitor centre and you can look down at the beach. I mean, you can actually walk down to the beach, but it's a bit too cold and a bit far to walk today. But when you look down over that beach and you just think of the site, what it would look like 80 years ago, it's so overwhelming for me.
It is.
Personally.
I find it really emotional, the part you've seen where you walk through the tunnel and they're reading out the names.
Yeah.
I found that quite emotional. That really got to me because there was no pictures, it's just names being read out, and that was quite hard to listen to. That was.
There's so much to read in the visitor centre. It's just too overwhelming. I can't. I'm just overwhelmed at the moment.
Yeah. It is wheelchair accessible completely. The museum has a lift, you can go downstairs. The site itself is completely accessible. You can get around it very easily. So it is. I do think you need to come. We've come on when we're filming this. It's February, as you can tell. It's cold. It's very, but there aren't many visitors.
No, it is very quiet. So if you want to have a peaceful look around, because obviously in peak tourism times, we have been told that it is very busy.
Yeah, but it's been good to see. It's my second time or third time, I think, since I've seen it. Your first time.
My first time.
And how I described it was, it's like endless. It's endless crosses.
It is endless. You just can't fathom it. It really doesn't compute in your head until you see it.
And the bits we showed you were just the first 2 plots. There's many, like loads behind it.
Another 8 or 10 plots behind. It's huge.
Yes. We're now going to head over to the Overlord Museum, which is just at the entrance to the cemetery, actually. So that you can actually do the 2 in the one day.
Yeah.
Easily.
Easy.